Welcome to the Boyz and Balls Podcast. We got Brucey with the Giants. We got Dan with the Patriots. Me with the Browns. Let's go.
Hey, let's go.
Boom, jumping straight into college football. We had a wild weekend of college football. We're going to start off Texas Tech. This game, we all, I think with our predictions last week, we all expected Texas to win this game.
Oh, absolutely.
I always felt like they were
not.
overranked. Texas lost to Alabama and then jumped into the top 25, which was wild. But they lose an OT thriller to Texas Tech. What do you guys think about that game?
I definitely think going into the game, Texas Tech definitely had Texas's number this time around. That was my pregame analysis thought on the game whenever I looked at the matchups. When I checked the schedule a little bit, I was like, I think Texas Tech might sneak one out here against Texas.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. You did call that last week.
Yeah, I did.
My only thing with looking at this game is it's nice to see that Texas is playing at a high level, but I'd like to see them close out some of these games. That's kind of how I felt about when they played Bama. They looked super strong early, and then they kind of, fell apart later.
Right.
So I think this is I hope this doesn't become a continuing trend with this new coach that they have in Texas. They want to be this tough, gritty team. They're not playing a full game of football.
Well, I just don't think they're built to be a great team right now. The cupboards they're not dry in Texas, but it's not fully stocked. Sarkisian came over from Alabama, was their OC last year. So I trust Sark. I think he's a good coach. I just don't think this team is where it needs to be to really be competing this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a solid team. Obviously, I think they're going to finish above 500, but I don't think they're going to finish anywhere in the top 25 this year.
Yeah. The next game I want to talk about was Georgia struggled against Kent State this week, and to me this kind of showed a lot. I had always felt like Georgia hadn't played anybody yet. They lost a lot from last year's team, and they had a game against Kent State this week where they pulled away late and were able to get a win, but it was still a 2-score win against a team you expect to blow out. And to me, that's worrying because they haven't played anybody of note yet this season. They got some big games coming up. And if this is the trend that they are going, it's not a good look.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this shows how good Kansas State has become. In the past, this past season, we've seen them, pull some pretty good wins out.
Kent State. We'll get to Kansas State later. Kent State's in Ohio.
Kent State, not Kent State.
Yeah.
No, Kent State. Yeah. You have Kansas State written down, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's for later.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Kansas State. Okay, so we'll jump to Kansas State next. So Kansas State upset Oklahoma this week.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking at. Okay, well, no, we'll finish Kent State. Kent State's always that one team that they always play super tough. They're always, they're a little bit smaller school, but they're always a very tough school to play.
Yeah, I mean they're solid. They've put out some decent players, but the reality is, as a team, they're not an elite team. They play in the MAC. It's not a great conference. They haven't won it the past couple of years. The reality is, if Georgia is ranked number 1, you have to blow out Kent State.
Yeah, they'll whoop them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, teams like that are playing in those lower conferences definitely need to get almost wiped up and down the field if you're the number 1 seed in the nation.
Yeah.
It comes
100%.
with the territory.
So jump into that next game. Kansas State went to Oklahoma. Adrian Martinez from Nebraska transferred in as a grad transfer, 5th-year guy, passed for 250 and a touchdown, ran the ball for 150 in an upset win. It's a huge statement win for Kansas State. They're having a solid year so far. And, I mean, Oklahoma with that loss, I kind of says that, they're probably going to drop 1 or 2 more games this year. This isn't a playoff team right now.
Oh, yeah, no. I feel like they're struggling, at receiver, and they don't really have some of those weapons that they've had in the past.
Right.
When Baker and Tua and Jalen Hurts were there, they had some playmakers who, could get some shit done. But right now they're kind of struggling with some empty holes.
Yeah, this is the first game.
Is there a question at quarterback for Oklahoma?
No, I think the starter's still guaranteed, but
I'd say he threw 330 for 4 touchdowns or something like that.
Well, who is the starter? I'm not familiar with who he is.
It is Dylan Gabriel.
So
Okay.
I'm not, he's a solid quarterback. I mean, but the loss of Lincoln Riley and then Caleb Williams transferring to USC with Lincoln from Oklahoma, it definitely hurts them. Spencer Rattler left as well. He went to South Carolina. So you lost basically your top two quarterbacks from last year. And I mean, I'm
So didn't
surprised they
Spencer
started the way
leave
they
because
did.
he wasn't almost guaranteed to start? Like, isn't that why he left? Because he probably wasn't the starter.
Yeah, and I mean the reality is he hasn't played up to expectation his entire career.
He's been one of like the biggest buzz in college football, it seems like.
Right. Yeah. At the start of the year, he was projected one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, which I thought was outrageous. And to the point in this year, he's looked awful. He's throwing a lot of picks, and he's leading South Carolina to a lot of losses.
Yeah.
All right. So the next game, Clemson went to 2 OT with Wake Forest. Again, I think this is one of those games where, Clemson was ranked 5th, and when you have a bottom top 25 team, you have to, if you want to be a team that competes in the playoff, this has to be a game that you have to win and be more dominant in than letting that team pass the ball all over you, going to 2 OTs and then scratching out a win late. I mean, yeah, it shows grit from Clemson that they were able to pull that win out, but I looked at that as a game that Clemson, if they were back to the Clemson of old, like people have said, that was a game that they would have blown out, and that just wasn't the case.
I think the same thing. It definitely seems like a game that they normally would have won. If it's the old Clemson, like you said, they would have won by like 3 touchdowns or more. Like it just would have been.
Yeah, you want to see them. You want to see them be a little stronger, especially when they're playing, in their own conference.
Right.
You don't
Not to take anything away from Wake Forest.
Yeah,
they're
Wake Forest.
They're a talented team, but
they played a hell of a game.
If you're Clemson number 5 and you're playing against a team that's in the top, 20.
Yeah,
you should beat them by like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you have to, and especially they just moved from 4 to 5. Michigan jumped them. This should be a game where you come in and you try to throw a statement out, and instead they looked bad and almost lost. And so for me, that I feel like Clemson is going to be a team that they're going to end the year 10-2, and they're going to just miss the playoff because I just don't feel like this is a complete team. The defense has not recovered from the defenses that were playing against Alabama and the Natty. They're not the same team. DJ Uiagalelei looks like he's taken a step forward, but he hasn't lived up to his 5-star number 1 overall quarterback in his class. He hasn't lived up to that. And honestly, I feel like Will Shipley is the same as Travis Etienne before him. He's a running back that goes for 100, 200 yards against the bad schools. And then when you play against in those big games, he doesn't show up. And in the end, if Clemson does happen to make the playoff this year, I don't see them winning a game.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like they're gonna get rocked real early.
If they'd make it in, they'd get knocked out in the first round without any.
Because they're probably gonna play Ohio State, who's looking super solid. Which brings you into the next game
the next team exactly, and the next game I want to talk about was Ohio State versus Wisconsin. And Wisconsin's always a team that has a very solid defense. They run the ball well, and like typical fashion of the past couple of years, Ohio State completely dismantled them, blowout win. To me, Ohio State is the number 1 ranked team in the nation. Georgia struggled. Alabama struggled. Ohio State had a close week 1, but we've dominated every game after that. I think Ohio State is the most complete team in football right now. And Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, to me, haven't proven that they're a complete team, to date.
Do we see any significant changes in the power rankings coming up this week?
No, there wasn't any change. The only changes we saw in the power rankings this week was Ohio State and Alabama both got a couple first place votes, but the top 3 didn't change.
Okay.
The next game I want to talk about was speaking of another top 5 team struggling this weekend, Michigan, ranked number 4 in the nation, has to pull away late against Maryland in a 1-touchdown game. They won 34-27.
Yeah, I think it's rough. I mean, they still ran the ball. They still ran the ball for 240 yards, which is, what everyone's talking about Michigan being good at.
Right.
Is rushing the football. But I mean, if you're not going to be able to, use this rush game to, get ahead, keep a team down, because that your defense isn't getting stops. Maybe they have to try to figure out a little different game plan to get JJ McCarthy throwing the football a little bit more.
Right.
You've got to be able to pass the ball to make it far in the playoff. It's simple as that. You can run the ball for tempo, but you've got to be able to throw the ball if you're gonna win the Natty. That's what you've got to do.
I don't even think my issue with them as much is their passing game, because we know what Michigan is. It's the same offense that Harbaugh had at Stanford. It's the same offense that Harbaugh ran with the 49ers. They're going to run the ball, and they have great defense. My problem with Michigan this year, they lost David Ojabo, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, they lost Daxton Hill, they lost some great defensive players, and I think when I look at this Maryland team, this is a solid team. With Tunga Vailoa quarterback, this team is going to compete to be, a 7-8 win team in the Big Ten. But the reality is, if Michigan's defense is up to form like it normally is, this is a game that they blow out, because they run the ball all over Maryland like they did, and then they're getting stops. The problem is they weren't getting stops, and they let Maryland keep that game close. And if Michigan's not going to have a great defense that can get some stops, they're going to get smacked by Ohio State. Penn State's going to give them trouble. This isn't a playoff team for Michigan.
So I know you talked a lot about this in the past. I mean, we're trying to talk about an NFL player with Derrick Henry's usage. How many touches he's getting. Now you had Corum, who got 30 carries last game. How does that affect him? Continuing as a college football player, if he's going to get so many touches.
I think in college football, you kind of get away with it. Guys don't hit as hard. I mean, you have the NFL guys that are going to be playing on Sundays. Like, those guys can still hit, but the reality is, like, a full team, Maryland doesn't have those guys that are going to punish him.
Yeah.
So you get away with it in college a little bit. You really worry about that more if he's getting 30 plus carries every week, or once he gets to the NFL, did that wear and tear hurt on him? And can he still take 20 carries a game in the NFL now? I think he's going to be able to get away with it for this season. I don't see them running the ball with him 30 times a game every week. I think that just happened in a close game because, Michigan's always struggled passing the football under Harbaugh, and that's no change this year. So they got to run the ball. And I mean, they pulled out a win, but I don't think this is a every week occurrence for Michigan.
All right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So the next and last game from college football this week that I want to talk about is Texas A&M stunning Arkansas. Arkansas got out to a great start in this game, went up 14-0, and then it was defensive plays by Texas A&M and special teams plays by Texas A&M that pulled out a win late. And you saw Arkansas, who was almost ranked in the top 10, and it was very hopeful for this season that they could make a run at the playoff. You see their players dejected, towels over their head, they're crying. Arkansas has Alabama this week. Does that play a role in that? Is Arkansas going to be emotionally devastated by that loss and not be able to compete against Alabama this week?
Are you going to cry whenever you're getting your butt kicked up down the field by Alabama? Are you going to do the same thing? Is that just what the team is? Are they just going to just hang their heads and just when they get down against a good team like Alabama, like they usually are, they just going to just get totally dejected from the game and just kind of unplug and say, yeah, like we're just waiting for time to go.
Right. And that's the big question here because, you can slip up once in the SEC, and if you win out, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
And I understand in college football, you want to be perfect. It's the only guaranteed way to make the playoff, but I don't see how. I mean, I know you choked the game late and you gave the game away, but does those emotions that caused, guys to cry on the sideline and everything, is that a motivation or is that, dejectiveness that will translate into another loss next week or this week?
See, I think one of the things is you got to think is, do these Arkansas players want to win or do they hate to lose? Are they crying because they hate to lose that much that, makes them upset?
Right.
And that's what you want to see out players. You want to see those players who hate to lose. So whenever they play, someone like Alabama next week, they're going to come, flying, make some good plays, maybe stun the number 2 team.
It's possible they just come out firing on all cylinders next week and they just kind of just hit Alabama in their mouth and they just kind of surprise them right off the jump of the game.
So, I mean, that's what I like to see from Arkansas next week, but, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm hoping
They'll
to
have to find
see,
out.
they dropped to 20. Alabama, obviously ranked 3. So it's a top 25 matchup. It's Alabama's first top 25 matchup of the year. If Arkansas can use those emotions to come out and punch Alabama hard to start, I think they have a decent chance with, KJ Jefferson at quarterback. He looks to have taken a step forward this year, but I'm really hoping to see Arkansas come out here and like you guys said, fire on all cylinders.
All right.
Yeah.
Um, so Dan, I see you have you've had some words to say about Kansas. How what do you want to talk about with Kansas this week?
Okay. So Kansas, Kansas, not Kansas State, Kansas. I believe I heard around the rumor mill that they have the most AP votes of any non-ranked team, and they're first in their division, which I mean it is the Big 12. But do you think that they deserve to be ranked? They're playing really well this season, and they're trying to prove that they're not just a basketball school, but they're also a football school.
I
So
don't
you're
know.
asking
I
me if I
just
think they're a top 25 team.
Yeah, I mean, we have some teams that are in the the AP thing that could possibly not really be contender. Like I know
Who's sitting in that 25 through 20 range for
I mean,
the
so
ranking right now?
Kansas State at 3-1 just jumped in, and they're sitting at 25.
yeah
But my problem with
Okay.
Kansas is they're 4-0, but they haven't beat anybody of note. They beat Tennessee Tech in week 1. Then they played West Virginia, Houston, Duke. But none of those teams are competing this year. None of those teams are great. So
Yeah.
they're 4-0, and I like that start from Kansas. But the reality is they haven't beaten anybody of note. They have Iowa State this week, which I think is always a tough matchup. Iowa State always plays very tough in the Big 12. So if they come in there, and I kind of feel like that's an upset. If they upset Iowa State, I say let's rank them.
get
But
them in
as of
there.
right now, I just don't see them as a top 25 team yet.
Yeah, I mean, I like their win against West Virginia. I think that was a big win because West Virginia always competes in the ACC.
Yeah.
They may not always be top like a ranked team, but they always make that division a little tougher.
They'll
The
make you
conference.
work for it. If you get matched up against West Virginia, you're not just going to go in there and blow them out. They're going to make you work for it a little bit.
Yeah, I
So,
think my trouble with West Virginia is that used to be more the case because West Virginia was this high-powered, crazy offense. You're getting in shootouts with TCU where they're both putting up 70 points. West Virginia is not that same team anymore. This isn't the Tavon Austin days at West Virginia.
yeah.
This is a team that's scoring 28, 35 points in a win. It's not the same offense. They're not going, hurry up, no huddle the whole game. West Virginia has definitely taken a step back over the past couple of years, and I don't see West Virginia as a good win for anyone right now.
All right.
Man, I remember those Tavon Austin days. His highlight reel gives me wet dreams.
Yeah.
Facts.
Okay, so the one I think we talked about Michigan struggling against Maryland. So one of the tougher teams in the Big Ten West has always been Iowa. When you play against them, they always seem to have this crazy game against. I remember Penn State. We barely snuck out a win with Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley. How does that fare for whenever they play them this next week?
I don't know. This year, this Iowa team to me just they're not putting up any points. And normally with an Iowa team, like they're holding teams to a lot of like really low points, but that offense, they still get that run game going. And I mean, they beat South Dakota State week 1 with a score of 7-3, and they had 2 safeties and a field goal for the game.
Yeah.
No offensive points.
No, they had a field goal on no touchdown. It was 7-3.
Were they in the red zone at least, or like they have any? Was it field goal from the red zone? Were they outside the red zone?
I'm sorry, but it was a very interesting game. I didn't really.
It was a 46-yard field goal.
So they didn't even make it into the red zone.
They didn't even make it into the red zone. I mean, they had 100 yards passing on the game and 57 yards rushing for the game.
That's only 157 yards of scrimmage. That's not good.
This is not the Iowa State team of old where it's, that defense holds you to low points and then that offense, with the run game can control the clock. Like they lost to Iowa State. And then they've only, they 27-0 Nevada, but Nevada's not a good team. And then they beat Rutgers last week. So
which Rutgers is also pretty awful.
Rutgers is also not a good team. So
Hey, respect records. Okay.
I just, I see Michigan coming in here and
still just
and,
mollywopping them.
barring a defensive touchdown or a huge play on offense for Iowa, I just think Michigan dominates this game.
All right.
That's probably a fair assessment.
So hopping over to the NFL, I want to get y'all boys' takes for all the games this week. Who do we think is going to win? So obviously we've already missed the Thursday night game. We're recording this on Friday because of the hurricane. I'm here in Tampa, so we weren't able to record before Thursday night. So obviously we know Cincinnati won that game, but starting with the London kickoff game, Minnesota versus New Orleans. Who do y'all boys have in this game?
I know it seems stereotypical, and like what everyone's probably gonna say, but I think Minnesota's gonna win. New Orleans is missing Jameis Winston, which is he helps that team out. Who knows what they're really doing at quarterback? Are they throwing Taysom Hill back in there?
Well,
let's go. He's a gadget.
Jabu is only questionable, so we don't know if he's going to play.
That's true.
He could play. So, to me, I just think with the Vikings not getting the ball to Justin Jefferson the past couple of weeks, if that continues, I see New Orleans winning. If they can get the ball to JJ and get him going, then I think the Vikings win. But if we're going with the trends, it doesn't happen. New Orleans wins.
I like KJ Osborne. The connection between them last week. Kirk Cousins had 2 big strikes. They were his longest passes a game at 28 and 29 yards. But that was a game-winning drive against the Lions for them.
That's not who your playmaker is, man. If you're playing a team, especially a team like the Lions, and you're not getting the ball to arguably one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, like you're not playing quarterback right, Kirk. Sorry, like.
Yeah.
And you can argue, hey, Jeff Okudah has not let up almost any catches this year. He's playing out of his mind, and he was matched up against JJ the whole game, and he only allowed 12 yards receiving. So maybe it's just that Jeff Okudah's taking this step up. He's going back to his college days when he was the lights out strap up corner, but I haven't seen that yet for a full season. We're only a couple weeks in, so I just have to say Kirk Cousins isn't looking for JJ. For me, New Orleans wins. Bruce, who do you have?
I think I gotta say I'm kind of in the same boat that you are. If Kirk Cousins doesn't find a way to get the ball to Justin Jefferson and be able to stretch that defense out with some of the injuries that they have on the offensive end and being able to take advantage of some of the opportunities they can probably get Justin Jefferson into, I think the Vikings can win this game if they can get the ball to JJ. But if not, then I think the Saints will probably not have a hard time walking away with this game. It might be a close one.
Okay. So who's your official pick? New Orleans.
My official pick is we'll go with the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, so we have 2 for New Orleans.
I assume Kirk Cousins he's gonna play like Kirk Cousins.
Okay. All right. Next game we have Cleveland at Atlanta.
Are you gonna be a biased Cleveland fan and just pick Cleveland?
I am gonna be a biased Cleveland fan, but I just think this Atlanta team has struggled. We have an elite run game with an elite offensive line. I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to slow that down. I think the Browns are able to dominate that side of the ball from the jump. Now, with Myles Garrett being hurt and possibly not playing from his car accident, I think the defense might struggle a little bit, but I think in the end, the defense is able to get just enough stops and that run game control the other side of the ball. Browns win.
All right, here's my hot take, right? AJ Terrell straps with Mark Cooper the entire game. Marcus Mariota throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
So I assume you want the Falcons to win then.
I do want to see the Falcons. I want heavy stomp pop to be Cordero Patterson. I want him to get into the end zone.
Cordero Patterson is questionable for this week.
He's going to play.
Okay.
All right.
You heard it here first. He's going to play.
I also have the Browns winning this. I think the Browns are a much better team than the Seahawks, and the Seahawks played very well against Atlanta last week. So I feel the Browns being a better team than the Seahawks, I feel that they're going to be able to sneak that win out over the Falcons.
That's debatable, but okay, I'll give it to you.
All right. The next game, the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys.
Is Cooper Rush starting?
Cooper Rush is starting.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush wins.
Like Cooper Rush.
Okay.
I know.
Dallas over Washington, 31 seconds.
Who do you got?
I'm gonna be the odd man out here. I like the Commanders' defensive line against the hurt Cowboys' offensive line. I think they're going to be able to slow down that running game. Jahan Dotson has a great connection with Carson Wentz. They're able to get that going a little bit. Commanders win.
All right.
You don't think that Diggs is going to strap up Jahan Dotson?
Who's guarding Terry then?
That's true.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough. You're right.
Yeah. So, all right. Next game, Seattle at Detroit. For me, I don't think this is a very hard pick. I'm going with Detroit.
All right.
I'll also be going with Detroit in this matchup.
Okay, I'm going
Dang.
Seattle.
Okay.
There's just enough hurt people on the lines that makes me worry. They don't have Amon St. Brown. DeAndre Swift is hurt. It's just there's a lot of hurt people on that team, and I feel like their offense is going to struggle. It already struggles with Jared Goff behind the wheel, so I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Okay.
You think Drunk Gino's going to come out there and ball out against the Lions?
Hell yeah.
All right. The next game may be going to be the worst game of the weekend to watch. It's going to be a run fest. Titans at Colts.
Oh my! That game's going to be like watching paint dry.
Yes. And I think with the injuries, if Darius Leonard is able to play, Titans haven't been able to run the ball very well this year. I think the Colts sneak one out.
Okay.
All right, let's take a poll. All right, you guys want to buy in on this? Quentin Nelson 4 pancake blocks.
All right.
I want nothing to do with this bet.
Let's give some respect to the trenches. Come on, that man be screaming when he'd be pulled on the line of scrimmage.
Hey, he got fined on that play. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the Colts winning as well, or?
I do have the Colts winning as well. And I think this game is honestly going to be won on the offensive line.
I think the Tennessee Titans can sneak one out. If DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard are playing, I feel like that the Titans can get it going and they'll be able to sneak one out.
Now, I think this game will be interesting to watch because of the rookie Treylon Burks. The offensive coordinator said this week we have to get Treylon Burks more involved. So look to see him get targeted more, and we'll see what happens with that.
All right.
Now, do you think that's going to take away touches from the King?
No. I think
Okay.
they're going to try to insert Treylon Burks into that A.J. Brown role from last year and see how it works out. And, I mean, we'll see if he can thrive in that role or not against a pretty solid Colts defense.
Okay.
All right, next game we have the New York Football Giants playing at home against the Chicago Bears. I'm a big Khalil Herbert fan. I got to be honest. I think he's going to get going with Leonard Williams out. I'm going with Chicago in a close game. Chicago in a close game.
All right.
Chicago in a close game. All right, Dan, what do you think?
Okay. I have the New York Football Giants winning this one. I feel like Saquon's the better running back, and this is going to be another game of running the football.
A tale of two running backs.
A tale of two running backs, and I think Saquon's a better back. As long as they can get him going like they did against Tennessee, I think it's a sure lock that the Giants will beat the Bears out.
Okay, I like that take, Dan. JT, I also kind of respect your take, but I feel like this is a good opportunity. This is a game coming up this week that was a good chance for Kayvon Thibodeau to kind of show what he's got in the NFL. The Bears' offensive line is relatively average at best.
Yeah.
And, Kayvon Thibodeau was the best pass rusher in college. So let's put him up against a line that's a little bit below average and see if he can, make some plays for us to probably get us a win on the defense side of the ball, since he missed the first couple of weeks of the season. Played okay against the Cowboys, but I'm excited to see another week with Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau back into the lineup.
All right.
So you got the Giants winning then?
I do have my New York Football.
Okay. All right, boys, to the next game, Jacksonville at Philadelphia. Who do y'all got in this game? It's kind of a big game.
All right.
There's the hot take. Jacksonville's the best team in the league. They're 3-0. They're going to keep on trucking.
No, they're 2-1. They're 2-1. They dropped.
They're 2-1. Sorry,
they lost to the Commanders.
Yeah, the Commanders. No, they're the best team in the league. Period. I'm sorry.
I'm going Eagles. I'm going Eagles. I like the way
take.
that defense is playing. Jalen Hurts has been playing very well this year. I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, I feel like the Eagles are way too solid of a pick right now to bet against. So I'm happy.
Y'all see James Bradbury will fold. He was on my football Giants last year. James Bradbury's gonna fold, and Darius big place.
Yeah, but he's not the number one. He's not the number one. He's the number two.
Yeah, but if you've only got one good number one corner, what happens to the 2 and the 3 wide receiver? They start making plays.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust Trevor Lawrence. And in that offense against good defenses. They're going to see a good defense this week. We'll see how it goes.
T-Law's the new sheriff. You heard it here first.
Oh, that's wild, but all right.
All right. Here's the hot take. We have Zach Milfson in his first game of the year against against Pittsburgh.
Against Mitch's a bitch Trubisky.
Yes.
Hey,
So
you be nice to Mitchell. He's trying his best out here.
To me, I don't like the Steelers this year, especially without TJ Watt. I don't trust them. If Minka doesn't play, which he looks questionable, he's in concussion protocol. I'm going Jets. Wild pick. We're going Jets.
All right. So I think even though, I'm a Steelers fan, I want to see the Steelers do good and win. I'm going to have to give it out to the MILF Hunter this week. Garrett Wilson looked very good. I know that was with Joe Flacco, but I think that team looks better than the Steelers do. Yeah,
this guy wearing a Patriots jersey says he's a Steelers fan.
Yeah, go now.
Bandwagon. Who's your basketball team, Dan?
Don't worry about it. Watch episode 1.
He's just got a chub for Tom. It's fine.
All right. So Dan, you have the Jets. Bruce, who did you say you have?
I think I will also go with the New York Jets. Jets.
Okay. Jets. Jets. Baby, let's go. All right. Next game, an injured Buffalo team at the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. I think Buffalo drops 2. I think they drop 2. I think they lose. I think the Ravens win.
I think this turns into the same game as the Ravens Dolphins. In the end, offense is going to win. The Bills are going to be able to get 1 or 2 stops. I'm taking Bills.
All right.
I'm going to take the Ravens. I think without the safeties there for Buffalo.
Poyer might play.
Yep.
He played last week and he was on the injury list. So
yeah,
I know Poyer might play, but if Poyer doesn't play,
it's tough.
I think Lamar Jackson, even though he's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league with his arm, I think he's able to stretch the field a little bit. And I think he's going to be able to move the ball a little bit more through the air and get some good opportunities for his wide receivers.
Okay, I agree with that. I think it both. Micah's obviously out, but if Poyer doesn't play, I think it's a very, very close game, and the Ravens probably win it. But I'm still going to trust. I'm trusting Poyer's going to play. We're going Buffalo.
All right.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of second-level running from Lamar Jackson. No, I don't think that's going to happen against Buffalo. I think he's going to have to win this game. If they're going to win, he's going to have to do it with his arm.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, who did you say you had?
I said I have the Ravens.
Okay. Dan's got the Ravens. All right. Yeah. The next game, we have a very, very star-injured Chargers team traveling to Houston. For me, this doesn't matter. The Chargers are still the better team. Austin Eckler's still healthy. Herbert's going to play. You're missing Keenan Allen, but Mike Williams is still there. Joshua Palmer is a solid receiver. I think that Khalil Mack's able to make a couple plays. Chargers win.
All right.
The Texans are who we thought they were.
The Texans are. Yeah. I
trust the Texans to choke. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I like David Mills, but I think an injured Jay Herbo is still better than a healthy David.
The Texans have a lot to rebuild for sure.
Yeah.
But General Mills, gets the job done.
Here's what I think will actually be a good game: Arizona at Carolina. Now, Christian McCaffrey is questionable with a quad injury. I expect him to play. I think this is a game that could get a little high scoring, into the high 20s, into the 30s. I feel like Kyler's going to be able to make more plays than Baker. Both the OU alums, battling it out in the NFL. I feel like I'm going to go Kyler Murray here.
Wait, hang on. Is it a double XP weekend for Call of Duty?
It is not. Last week was.
Okay, cool. Then I'll take Kyler Murray in this matchup.
that is an important factor when you go for these games. Yeah, so I'll take Kyler as well. I think
I'll start him in fantasy too if it's not a double XP weekend.
Yeah. Okay, so we all got Arizona over Carolina.
Yep.
Next one, Brian Hoyer, starting quarterback, travels to Green Bay. To me, not a question here. Aaron Rodgers gets a win.
It's really hard to say this.
I still have some questions.
Okay.
That young receiving core, man. That young receiving core is just kind of He's breaking Aaron Rodgers' back. Like, it's not like they're not playing well because Aaron Rodgers isn't putting the ball in the right place. He's been doing it for so long.
Romeo
the ball's
Dobbs,
in the right place.
Romeo Dobbs had a great week last week. Is that the breakout game between the connection of Romeo Dobbs and Aaron Rodgers? I think it could be. Also, since week one, the Packers have been using both of their very good tailbacks in A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. They've been playing them more together. They've been getting them both more involved into the game. I think that takes a lot of stress off of the wide receivers. Allen Lazard had a great game last week. I think the Packers are starting to figure out that offense. And honestly, a Mac Jones-less Patriots team is not a threat to me.
Yeah.
Packers win.
As bad as the Packers wide receivers are, I think that the Patriots secondary is in fact worse. Cal Duggar still has a lingering knee issue. There's like some questions at corner. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I still think the Packers win.
Well, what about that dog Jabril?
Yeah, he plays more of the box. He doesn't really play as he'll strap up, Tanyan or AJ
and
Dillon.
But do you know what Aaron Rodgers is doing with all these passes to these young receivers? He's throwing them across the middle of the field, right where the linebackers.
A lot of RPOs and stuff, yeah.
Like right where Jabril Peppers is sitting in the Patriots defense. He's sitting right there, like he's gonna lay some wood.
Maybe we'll hope.
I like the Patriots defense over the Packers. I'll take it. Like I'll be honest with
you. Think you're going Patriots?
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots.
Okay, so we got two Packers and a Patriot. All right.
I believe in Brian Hoyer, as odd as that is to say.
His shiny cue ball head.
I believe him to be able to manage the game.
All right. So here's a matchup with this next one of two teams that were projected to be some of the better teams in the NFL and have been lackluster to this point. Denver travels to the Raiders.
All right.
What are you guys thinking?
I got the Broncos, and here's why. I think that the Raiders, the Raiders defense is looking, they're looking slow. That offense really isn't clicking for the Raiders. And Russ has looked okay in these couple games, and the two-headed running back for the Broncos, I feel like will succeed against the Raiders. So, I think it's a close game. I think you're looking like 21-17, 17-14. But I think
you think Denver's scoring 3 touchdowns?
I think it's tough, but they could.
Now, I do want to take this time to make a statement. So I've watched all of Denver's games so far, and I did a little bit of film study on that game. Now, by no means am I an expert, but I feel like Denver's issues are not on Russell Wilson, nor are they on Nathaniel Hackett, the new coach.
All right.
If you look back at some of those games, last night I rewatched the Broncos-Texans game. Nathaniel Hackett schemed Jerry Jeudy into one-on-one coverage with a linebacker multiple times during that game. Do you know what happened on all of those times where Jerry Jeudy was in one-on-one coverage against the linebacker? You know how many catches Jerry Jeudy had?
No, none. Literally none.
0.
Yeah.
You know how much separation he had on all of those plays?
None.
It is not a coach problem. It is not a Russ problem. It is a problem that the weapons on Denver are not getting open.
All right.
And the offensive line cannot hold up long enough to allow Russ to make plays with the wide receivers not getting open.
Okay, so you taking the Raiders then?
I think in this game, I think I'm going to have to take the Raiders. Now, I don't like the way the Raiders have been playing offense. They're not getting Devontae Adams involved. Devontae Adams is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and he has been held in check the past 2 weeks. And it's not from a lack of him getting open. You're watching on plays, dude is getting open. Derek Carr is not getting him the ball. In the end, if the Raiders get the ball to Devontae Adams and they treat him like he is the best wide receiver in the NFL, the Raiders win this game. If they continue on their trend the past couple of weeks, Denver will win a very sloppy game.
All right.
But I'm taking the Raiders. I'm taking the Raiders, and I'm hoping that Derek Carr realizes his issues and he gets the ball to his college teammate.
I think Derek Carr's going to come out here and be slinging the rock. I'll be honest with you. I think he's going to throw a whole lot of passes this game because, as we've seen, the Josh Jacobs run game isn't really there.
Okay.
No.
So
the Raiders' offensive line, like we said in our talking our preseason video, the Raiders' offensive line is one of the worst in football.
It's awful. Yeah.
I think this is going to be kind of be a breakout connection kind of game to like kind of revitalize that Fresno State connection that Devontae and Derek had in college. And you're going to be seeing Russell Wilson in the postgame interview saying, "Broncos country, we tried."
Yes. Yeah. So Dan, who do you have in this game?
So I guess I'm still sticking with the Broncos as much as I guess that's some solid arguments.
So we got 2 Raiders, 1 Bronco. All right.
Okay. Is someone keeping track of these?
Yeah.
I'm
gonna have it, and I'm gonna
catch it in post.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a spreadsheet up for you guys. That way you can see who everyone's got.
Okay.
All right. So the Sunday night football game, the Kansas City Chiefs travel, and importantly, with the hurricane, it did not stop this game. This game will be in Tampa. So Kansas City is traveling to Tampa to play the Buccaneers.
Kansas City.
I think it's a tough one, but I still think Kansas.
Tom Brady, he's been looking sloppy. I understand that, Mike Evans is coming back, but even with Mike Evans already in the lineup, like Tom has shown that he's slipping, his grip's slipping a little bit that he used to have on the league. He's not quite making the same plays or reading the field. He's getting hurried a lot. He's getting sacked. He's getting hit.
Now, I think part of that is they lost an all-pro guard. Ali Marpet retired in the offseason.
They also lost their center.
Well, yes. So they lost some people on that offensive line. To me, if Mike Evans plays last week, Tampa Bay wins. Mike Evans is playing this week. Tampa Bay wins.
Yeah, but there's a lot of questions at receiver, whether all the receivers are going to play. Julio is questionable. Russell Gage is questionable, who caught touchdown passes last week.
Right. The only one, though, that is doubtful is Perryman.
Okay.
But Godwin, Russell Gage, and Julio are all questionable. I expect at least 2 out of the 3 to play. I think you have 2 guys that are a little bit injured, limited by injuries, and a healthy Mike Evans. They're able to move the ball. This Chiefs team has shown a good defense can slow them down. I think the Buccaneers have a good defense. Buccaneers win.
Okay. All right. So we have Chiefs, and Bucks. Yeah. All right. So moving into the Monday night game, JT, who do you got?
It's Rams traveling to
the 49ers.
49ers. Yes. I think this is going to be a rough game. Niners lost Trent Williams. Rams have been off to a slow start. But with the loss of Trent Williams, I got to go Rams.
Okay.
I think Jimmy G is going to come out here and he's going to do what he does. He's going to give the Rams a close game. Now, whether he's going to win a close game or he's going to lose that close game, Jimmy G he's got a ridiculous win percentage at starting at quarterback.
He's a game manager. He's not the Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes who's going to win you games. You can put a good team around Jimmy G who'll win you games.
The thing is that Jimmy G won't lose you a lot of games.
True.
That's why you play him. That's why you play him. Not because he'll win you games. You'll be playing because he won't lose you a lot of games.
To me, it's the same as his former teammate, Jacoby Brissett. You put a good team around him and you don't ask him to sling the rock 40 times, they're going to win you games.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a big game for the linebacker corps for the 49ers. I think they're going to have to make some plays if they expect to win this game.
All right. So who do you have?
Absolutely.
So who do you have?
I've got the 49ers, assuming the linebackers show up to play.
All right.
He's got Niners.
So I'm also going with GT, and I'm gonna bring in the Rams as my favorite to win this game. I think they're just a much better squad, and with the 49ers struggling this past week, I think it looks a little questionable. Jimmy G stepping out the back of the end zone. He looks like he hasn't played football.
A lot of the
he's making errors.
Elijah Mitchell's on IR.
Yeah,
that offense is kind of beat up a little bit. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for this matchup is the first couple of weeks, Jalen Ramsey did not look like the number 1 corner in the NFL.
Yeah.
Last week he took that step back.
He
took that to heart.
Yeah.
And he's looking back to form. If he continues that Aaron Donald's going to be able to get going against that offensive line a little bit on the interior. Bobby Wagner's going to control the middle of the field.
I think Fred Warner's going to have a big game, and I think George Kittle's going to have a big game this week.
I think the Rams win a close game. Okay. I think it will be a close game.
So we got Rams, and the 49ers down with you, Bruce.
Okay.
All right.
Sir.
All right. All right, so we got a week 4 injury report. This is going into week 4, all the injuries that have happened so far. We have a special guest, Mr. Jesse Beckwith. He's going to be your injury report guy.
All right. So we're going to start things off in the AFC West. Really, there's not a whole lot of injuries that happened in the past week, except for the Chargers. The Chargers just this week lost Joey Bosa to IR. He's going to be out minimum 4 weeks with a groin injury. He's getting surgery on it soon, if not already. Rashawn Slater, bicep injury. He's going to be out for the year. It's going to be rough going at the tackle position, especially with Herbert being already injured with his ribs. Keenan Allen's out for week 4 when they play the Houston Texans. And so that's going to be something to look forward to. He's only going to have Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and Austin Eckler in the receiving game, plus his receivers 4, 5, and 6. You know,
do you think losing Rashawn Slater is gonna make that injury worse for Herbert?
Yes, because Rashawn Slater was borderline all-pro tackle, and when you lose someone like that, it's going to affect the pass protection, and he's going to need to adjust himself to the new guy and learn how, like, they need to coordinate with each other and whatnot. So he needs to keep an eye on the matchups for his new tackle. You know, if they're going up against Von Miller with this new guy, he's gonna need to fucking roll out. Apologize for cursing, to the opposite direction, because Von Miller's just gonna go right through that guy.
Absolutely.
Rashawn Slater's a great guy, but they probably don't have anyone significant behind him. I really wish I had pulled up who is going to be replacing him. That's my fault.
No.
No, you're good. Do you have any other injuries for the Chargers?
Just Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, Rashawn Slater for the major ones there.
All right.
Everything else is just kind of lingering. J.C. Jackson's always on the IR report. He should be off it soon. All right, so I do want to talk about the AFC East. The rest of the AFC West is fine. Let's start off with the Bills, because I want to talk about the Ravens as well with the Bills. So the Bills are really beat up right now. Their injury report's about as long as a CVS receipt. So Gabe Davis has been limited in practice all this week. He was last week. He didn't play week 2. Ankle injury is still lingering. He's questionable. Mitch Morse, their starting center, still dealing with that elbow injury he suffered week 2 against the Titans. Something to look forward to or look out for, because a backup center can create havoc with your offensive line. They do all the work there, all the call outs and whatnot. The Bills, I'm worried about the Bills secondary, guys. Micah Hyde's out for the year. Jordan Poyer is probably going to be out this week with a foot injury. Jordan Phillips, their DT's out. Ed Oliver's probably going to be out. Well, Jordan Phillips hasn't been confirmed out, but he's questionable. I doubt he's going to start. What do you guys think about the high-powered offense of the Ravens? I mean, Lamar's playing better than his 2019 MVP season so far. You think he's just going to shred that defense with all the injuries?
I think it's possible. I mean, the Bills are very athletic at linebacker, and their linebacker room is healthy, so that can help keep Lamar in check in that run game. But I mean, are the Ravens limited by any injuries going into this week?
Not that I saw. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is still coming off that ACL tear. He played last week. He had about 7 carries for 20-something yards against the Patriots. It's gonna be a long road back for him, but I'm sure once he gets back into full form, the Ravens will be just fine, and Lamar won't have to go for 100 yards every game just to win.
Do you think this is a game where Lamar is able to start maybe stretching the field a little bit without their 2 all-pro deep safeties?
Yes, especially, I believe that can happen because Rashad Bateman's so fast. That kid out of Minnesota, he's starting to really come into his own, and he's starting to develop that connection that Lamar wanted with Marquise Hollywood Brown, but couldn't get because the dude had butterfingers. So Bateman doesn't. So I'm hoping that connection right there. They're probably missing both. They're all pro caliber safeties. I think Bateman's going to get a few deep shots, and we're going to see some nice fantasy points out of both of them this week.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else in the AFC East that have some big injuries?
Yeah. Let's talk about Tua. The elephant in the room. What the hell is going on there? So they claim that against the Bills, when he hit the ground, it was because his back locked up.
Yeah, that's what I had read.
But see, I'm not a doctor, but when you watch the play, which has been all over social media because of the second time he got hurt yesterday, you can see he tried to keep his head up and it smacked off the turf and bounced back up. And that looks bad.
Especially after he stumbled after he hit his head.
He stumbled multiple times that they don't have on camera, that they don't show. He stumbled more than that.
Yeah, he definitely got his controller unplugged on that play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what bothers me is there wasn't a flag called on that play. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but the ball was gone. And I think that was Matt Milano.
He got shoved down after he had thrown the ball. Like, it was
after.
it definitely felt like it was a late hit on a quarterback.
Yeah, and I just don't think that's right for him to not get that call, because if that's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, that gets called all day.
Yeah, but that comes with tenure in the league.
Yeah, I just don't think that's, they need to make it fair. Call the flags evenly. Don't let some go there that should have been called and call some that shouldn't be called.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about Tua last week. What happened to Tua, or 2 weeks ago? What happened to Tua last week?
You talking about against the Bills?
No, so
yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday.
So technically this week. We're recording this on Friday, so the Thursday night game for this week has been played already.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Okay. So what I saw is I watched this play live, and I didn't understand fully what happened initially. I just saw his hands curl up, and I thought he broke his thumb. And that's what I was sitting there initially like, oh, Tua broke his thumb. That's really bad for the Dolphins. I'm just glad it wasn't a head injury. And then you go watch the replay. And another play that, in my opinion, should have been a flag. The DT grabs him, whips him around, and slams him on the ground. And his head, same way as last week against the Bills, bounces off the ground. And you can see his eyes closed and his hands like flip back and everything. And he was unconscious. They put him in an ambulance, took him to the hospital. I'm glad the kid's okay. He got discharged, but something needs to happen. He should probably have been in that game. And thankfully the NFLPA is doing an investigation into that to figure out what happened. Mike McDaniels, go ahead.
Hear me out. Bountygate only on Tua. Every team's involved.
That's what it seems like. After
it feels like it.
Yeah, I know.
It feels like it.
Back in a 4-day stretch, 2 plays that I think should have been penalties at minimum. Especially when a player gets hurt. Like, a lot of times you see a hit and you go, okay, well, the quarterback got back up. He's fine. They're not going to throw the flag. But you see sometimes where a quarterback or a player gets hit and they get hurt, and that's when the ref pulls the flag out.
Yeah, I felt like the first one definitely should have been a flag against the
second
Bills.
one's
Like that
questionable.
one felt like a late hit. The second one was questionable. I mean, he definitely got thrown to the ground pretty hard, but there was no malintent by the defensive player there. He landed the wrong way, hit the back of his head. It's an unfortunate thing. You definitely want to protect the quarterback, but at the same time, you don't want to take away from the game and punish defensive players for tackling a quarterback.
True. Yeah, I feel that.
It's already so hard to hit a quarterback now anyway. It doesn't even make it any more difficult.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I agree.
So we have any other injuries? So we talked a little bit about the Dolphins, a little bit about the Bills. Is there anyone else in the AFC East?
Yeah, Jets. Zach Milf, Hunter Wilson's coming back. He's expecting to make his debut against the Steelers.
Okay.
Thankfully, he doesn't have to deal with TJ Watt.
Yeah.
TJ Watt coming out with that not torn pec, but injured pec. I saw Minka was questionable.
They're expecting like week 7 or week 8, I think is what I saw.
So it's a really good turnaround for a pec injury.
Yeah.
I did see Minka was questionable. Do any of my Steelers fans here have any more insight?
I thought that they said that he was going to be able to be playing this Sunday.
Okay,
so limited practice, but I think he's going to be back playing Sunday.
So I think Zach Wilson might, barring Minka having like an all-star game, should be able to dot up the Steelers. They let Jacoby Brissett do it on Thursday night.
Yeah,
Jacoby Brissett's not a great quarterback.
That was with Minka, so yeah.
Yeah, so barring Minka playing like an all-pro, I think Zach Wilson might dot him up. I don't think he's going to make any big-time throws, but I think this is also, I didn't put this in the notes, but this is also a game where I think we might see Elijah Moore break out a little bit. Because we've been waiting on that. He was an early second-round pick last year. I wanted the Titans to get him so bad to pair him with A.J. Brown. We didn't get him. The Jets got him, and he's sitting there with Corey Davis, and he's sitting there with Braxton Berrios. He's still there, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think he got traded. He requested trade, but Berrios. That's a good receiving core for Zach Wilson. It's a shame that he doesn't have Mekhi Becton anymore this season due to the injury.
Yeah.
But I think he might have a good game against the Steelers. So watch out for that matchup.
So let's jump to that last team in the AFC East, because I think we all saw that Mac Jones left the stadium in some pretty big pain last week. What's the update on that?
High ankle sprain, expected 4 to 6 weeks. We saw Saquon have a similar injury a couple of years ago. It might go longer than 6 weeks. It really depends on how he treats it and how hard he hits the ground running when he comes back, because he's going to be in a very vulnerable spot as a quarterback. When he comes back, he's going to be rolling out and moving around. He doesn't want to tweak that when he comes back in 6-7 weeks.
So what's the next 4 to 6 weeks look like for the Patriots?
Next 4 to 6 weeks look like Brian Hoyer or a free agent quarterback, and Brian Hoyer's not a good quarterback.
We got Bailey Zappi,
Bailey's, I forgot about Bailey Zapp. Thank you for bringing it up. The man, the myth, the legend. He broke Joey Burrow's record for all-time passing yards and touchdowns in one less game. Granted, he did do it for, Western Kentucky, but that's not the point.
Right.
Joey Burrow did it with 2 all-pro receivers, so I don't want to hear that crap.
All right. So we heard about the AFC North. So what's the next division you got going on for the injury report?
Not a whole lot left with injuries. I mean, let's go to the AFC South real quick. Amani Hooker for the Titans is going to be out with a concussion this week against the Colts. That's a hard-hitting miss for this game
that's
this grass-growing contest.
Oh, yeah.
This grass-growing paint-watching contest of a game. It's a defensive battle. The better defense wins. But you know what? Titans don't have the most injuries on defense this week. The Colts might not have Darius Leonard again. He was a full participant in practice all week, but he's still dealing with that back injury. And if I'm Frank Reich in the front office, I'm not putting him in until we are certain he is 100% and not going to get hurt immediately.
And that's a huge loss for the Titans, or for the Colts playing against the Titans. The Titans want to run the ball. You have one of the best run-stopping linebackers in the NFL in Darius Leonard, and missing him in that matchup is pretty tough.
To add on to that, and the next point, DeForest Buckner did not practice all week. He's an all-pro DT for the Colts.
Yeah.
He's the reason the Colts don't allow rushing yards. And if he plays and Darius Leonard plays, Derrick Henry is going nowhere. He is going to be in his backfield. He's going to have negative rush yards because that Titans offensive line is bad. Taylor Lewan got shot in the knee week 2. He's out for the season. Rest in peace. Fly high, King. I don't even know who the starting left tackle is. Honestly, I haven't looked. But Andrew Brewer, or Aaron Brewer, I apologize, is the starting left guard for the Titans. Dude's 270 pounds. He's light. He gets pushed. Boy. He's small. Yeah. He gets pushed. And you can get away with that in college. NFL, you need to be big. You need to be like 300, 310. That way you're going
up against some big DTs. You look at big Jordan Davis out of the draft this year. He's pushing 340 and he can move. If you're 270, that's a big difference. You're
getting
pushed
run
around.
over. Yeah, so that's a problem for the Titans O-line. Luckily, Nicholas Pettifrere, he's looking like the next coming of Jack Conklin for us. Hopefully we retain him. Unlike Jack Conklin, who we let go to the Browns. Jack Conklin, 2 first-team All-Pro. Nicholas Pettifrere, I'm hoping it's multiple.
Right. So we talked a little AFC South. What's the next division you want to talk about?
Oh, I almost forgot. Trenton Williams is out. 4 to 6 week ankle injury. Best tackle in the league. 49ers are going to struggle to run the ball a bit, especially when they're going to go play. They play the Rams this week, right?
I'm not sure who they play this week.
That's my fault. I looked this up earlier.
Rams Monday Night Football.
Yeah, they play Rams Monday Night Football. That's gonna be hard to run against Aaron Donald. You don't have Trent Williams,
especially a primetime game. Tennessee's running high. You got a division game,
and they've already struggled running the ball this year. They haven't ran the ball particularly well this year, and you talk about losing an All-Pro tackle as well. That definitely hurts that.
Yeah. Back to the injuries here. NFC North, let's go to the Lions. The Lions are about to have no receivers this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown already out. DeAndre Swift, the running back, is already out. Thankfully, they got Jamal Williams. That dude is great. Maybe not a top 15 running back, but he loves anime and he's funny. So we put him up there.
He's electric.
That's always
fun.
Yeah,
he's fun to watch.
I mean, too many pumps on a celebration. Yeah, but way too many.
DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds are questionable. So who we got left on the Lions for receivers? Khalif Raymond, if he's still there.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure who's left.
I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
Speaking of receivers, let's move to the NFC East. I got one injury for that division that I want to talk about. Michael Gallup is possibly coming back. He got taken off the IR. He tore his ACL late last season, and that's going to be a huge help for Cooper Rush in this offense. It's going to take some pressure off CeeDee Lamb. Hopefully, Dalton Schultz can come back as well. He was injured last week. He didn't really play a ton. So hopefully he comes back. Michael Gallup comes back. That offense can start hitting the ground running, get in full motion. When Dak comes back, they can make a playoff push because Cooper Rush is doing a great job winning some football games that they really should have no business winning.
Absolutely.
Hey, he is undefeated. He's
3-0 with 3 game-winning drives. Yeah, Dak's not worth $40 million.
And speaking of injuries in the NFC East, you did not mention Sterling Shepard did have a season-ending injury last week. Earlier this week.
I figured you'd want to talk about that, being the Giants guru and all.
Yeah.
Leonard Williams is also out this week. We want to bring that up.
Yes. He was also out last week against the Cowboys. They pretty much just ran all over the left side of our line.
That's a huge loss for the Giants.
Leonard Williams to play. Absolutely.
Do you know when we have a timetable for Kayvon Thibodeau coming back? He is one of your first rounders that hasn't seen the field yet.
I'm pretty sure Kayvon Thibodeau played against the Cowboys.
Did he play against
the Cowboys? I
wasn't sure. I just,
him and Aziz Ojulari both came back up.
Yeah,
it's definitely still losing Leonard Williams is definitely still a tough matchup for the Giants. You got the Bears this week. You know how much they want to run the football with the new head coach. They're getting 30, 40 rush attempts a game. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, but their starting running back's not going to be there.
But Khalil Herbert came in last week.
David Montgomery's not going to be in this game.
No, he's not.
But Khalil Herbert's just as good.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert came in last week. He had 20-something carries for 150 yards. He played very well last year when Montgomery was hurt. So I don't see it slowing down. If Leonard's going to be out, you guys are going to have a hard time stopping the run. They're going to run on you all day.
I think Xavier McKinney needs to play a little bit farther up in the box, and Julian Love needs to take a little bit more deep responsibility because Xavier McKinney is kind of a run. He can be capable of being a run stopper.
Yeah.
I think if they want to try to come out and abuse the left side of, their line of scrimmage, the Xavier McKinney needs to step down and try to make some more plays for us.
Absolutely. Well, hopping back to the injuries, we got one division left to talk about. So Jesse, you got South.
So we'll start off with the Bucs. Same thing as the Lions. They have no receivers. Julio, Godwin, and Russell Gage are all questionable. Rashad Perryman's doubtful. Thankfully, we got Mike Evans back. He's back from the gulag and he's ready to catch some touchdown passes from the GOAT.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can win their matchup this week against the Chiefs. Speaking of Chiefs, they looked awful against the Colts last week. Offensive woes, going for a fake field goal on 4th and 10. Just take the field goal. He threw that pick late in the game. That was rough. I don't really think that's his fault, but the defense played well. They kept the Colts in check most of the game. The offense just needs to put up more than 17 points.
Yeah, well, so the other team that has some big injuries in the NFC South.
We got the Saints. Michael Thomas is injured again. Who saw that coming? Not me. Slant Boy cannot stay healthy. He's missed most of the last 2 years. He missed all of last year. He's got a foot injury. I'm not sure what foot it is. It didn't really specify in the articles I read. I'd imagine it's the same foot on the ankle that he got hurt the other year.
Yeah, I hate that.
If that's the case, that's bad.
Yeah, being a big Ohio State fan, I know Bruce, you probably you could probably agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, I definitely don't like to see Michael Thomas.
I watched him win a natty at Ohio State and have that elite year with the Saints, and it does hurt to see him be injured like that.
Yeah,
I want to see him get back out on the field, and
especially so consistently. Being out for a couple seasons now. Right. How much does this take off his game? Like, how much slower is he going to come out when he plays?
I was wondering that the past couple of years, and he came out at the start of this year, and he looked pretty good, and then here we are with another injury.
Yeah, breaking down again. Yeah.
You don't have to be that fast to run slant routes. It's fine.
That's true.
You don't.
He's also just kind of bigger than everybody else. So just out body
size and length, bro.
Right.
Just gotta get those hands out there.
Well, Jesse, I know you wanted to talk a little bit AFC South. I know you're a Titans fan yourself.
Yeah.
You're kind of the NFC South guru here, or the AFC South guru here. What are you kind of seeing out of each of the teams in the AFC South?
Yeah, so let's start with the Texans. I know everyone wants to talk about Derek Stingley Jr. being the first round pick. Yeah. He looks bad in zone coverage. He got cooked by the Colts. He got abused by Cortland Sutton. His stats against Cortland Sutton week 2 were abysmal. 2 DPIs, 2 pass deflections, nice on those pass deflections, but he let up 5 catches for 87 yards. And if you watch the film, he did not look great. I know he's a rookie and he'll develop, but there's another rookie on that defense starting that is playing out of his mind, especially against the Bears last week and Justin Fields. Jalen Petrie from Baylor's safety. He got 2 picks and a sack against the Bears. Dude is looking great. He's an early candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Super athletic.
Really fast. He's not going to win it, though. You want to know why? Plays for the Texans in the AFC South, and no one likes the AFC South. They're boring. They run the football and play defense. It's like the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that run the ball and play football, we got the Colts. We already talked about their injuries. I don't know how they ended up tying the Texans week 1. I was watching that game, and I was so sure when I turned the game off in the fourth quarter, the Texans were going to blow them out. And in Texan-like fashion, they let them come back, hang around, and tie. And that's going to hurt the Titans with that tie when it comes to division record and overall, because the Titans are bad this year.
Yeah.
Now, back to the Colts, though. They got blown up by the Jags.
Yeah.
Jags best team.
Jags just beat the Chargers.
Jags, they must be the best
looking
team.
Good. They're looking really good right now.
Yeah.
You gotta love that Doug Peterson, effect to that team.
And then the Colts beat the Chiefs. And I know why they beat the Chiefs, because the Chiefs can't make up their mind on offense. Their OC clearly needs to go. Patrick Mahomes is yelling at him after the game when they lose. And in reality, the play calling is bad. But Mahomes also needs to make better plays.
Yeah, but why isn't Mahomes calling his own plays? Do you think he's not trusted enough to start calling his own plays in that offensive scheme yet? I understand that Andy Reid is a very, very high IQ football coach. But don't you think you have a quarterback with the caliber of Patrick Mahomes that you would start letting him kind of take control and not really have to get in fights with the OC on camera?
If Tyreek Hill was there, I would. But they're not getting away with that backyard bullshit anymore where they're just running around and getting open. And, Travis Kelce's not catching the ball and tossing it to Tyreek Hill for him to take it 60 yards to the house. They actually got to call plays now. And it's showing their OC can't call plays now. They don't got that schoolyard bullshit going on.
I think it's really rare for you to see like quarterbacks that are their own OCs. You're talking these are generational greats, the Manning and the Drew Brees. And those guys didn't start doing that until later in their career, the Tom Brady now. But I don't know if you trust a quarterback that's in his
but you're talking about a guy who's already been a Super Bowl champion, who's already won an MVP, like who's already, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen everything the NFL has to offer. He's seen a lot, but
he hasn't seen an Ed Reed safety yet.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, to the next team, your team. What's going on with the Titans?
Like I mentioned earlier, we can't run the ball. Derrick Henry gets hit in the backfield by 2 people every play. Aaron Bruce, 270 pounds. The left tackle, I don't even know who that is. I'll pull that up after this, but Taylor Lewan's out. Pettifrere looking like a top 5 run blocker on the right side. Nate Davis is starting to actually look like a right guard. And Ben Jones is just solid as ever. Dude's about to make his 100th career start with the Titans on Sunday. Looking forward to that. Love that dude. Do you know he played for the Texans, by the way?
Nate Davis, yeah.
You know Zach Cunningham played for the Texans, and Mike Vrabel was on the Texans. Oh, I love that stat. When we played Houston last year, the announcers were like, this guy played for the Texans, and that guy played for the Texans. The Titans are just the Tennessee Texans. No, the Texans just have rejects that we pick up and make good.
Hey, your coach, Mike Vrabel, also played for
Ohio State and the Patriots.
No, the New England Patriots.
He played for both those teams, and you know what? He learned a lot from Belichick. He out Belichick in the 2019 playoffs.
Facts. So I know I've made some wild statements about your team already. We've only had 2 episodes, but already. I feel like you have a response to that.
Yeah, I don't think Malik Willis is ready to start, let alone should start. Tannehill's not playing bad because Tannehill's bad. Tannehill's playing bad because Todd Downing gets his plays from Madden rookie mode. The dude can't call a play. All right, so first play of the game, Titans line up in single back. Derrick Henry's back there. What are the Titans going to do? Go.
Halfback dive.
Run the football.
Halfback dive. They're going to run the football. So you know what defenses do? They put 8, 9 in the box. Derrick Henry gets hit in the backfield. Now we're 2nd and 12. What do the Titans do again? Run the ball.
Run the football.
And then they take Derrick out and put Dontrell Hilliard in, and they go into shotgun. What are the Titans doing? They're throwing the ball, and you pull out nickel and you drop back. Oh, Titans went 3 and out. Go ahead and punt that. it's the offensive coordinator.
They're
can't
getting
call plays.
They're getting a little too predictable. Yeah,
He's predictable.
You've seen their
like,
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's how your guys' offenses have been the past couple of years. I mean, once you got AJ Brown, it kind of changed around a little bit. Defenses had to respect your receivers, but I feel like that's how it's been, a lot of the years where it's just you just trust Derrick Henry to break 2, 3, 4 tackles on a play and house call it.
Yeah.
The difference between this year and past years is 2020 we had to go to O-line. 2021 we had a decent O-line. 2019 we had a decent O-line. We had Jack Conklin 2019.
Yeah.
All for 2-time All-Pro right tackle. Taylor Lewan wasn't missing every game in 2019. We had Roger Saffold, who was healthy, who plays for the Bills now and now doesn't practice all week so that he can play in those games and block for Devin Singletary.
All right. So we only got a couple minutes left here. So the last team, the leading team in the division, the Jags.
Yeah, the Jags. Yeah. Oh, the Jags are interesting. They are 2-1 with their only loss coming week 1 against the Commanders. I'm not sure how they lost to the Commanders, but
fourth quarter comeback.
Hats off to Carson Wentz for that.
Jahan Dodson 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah. Penn State, baby. Jags just blew out the Chargers 38-10.
Yeah.
T-Law threw a couple tutties. Josh Allen looked
I think the Justin Herbert injury is starting to cause some problems.
I think a lot of their injuries are starting to cause some problems. Like I mentioned before, Rashawn Slater, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa.
Joey Bosa, I feel like, is the biggest one. When you have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, there's nothing you can really do to stop that pass rush. You can try to chip with the tight end or double team, but the reality is one of them should be getting to the quarterback every play. You lose Joey Bosa. You only have one good pass rusher on that team now in Khalil Mack, and it makes it a little bit easier. It's the same thing as the Browns. The Browns have one really good pass rusher. You double team him, you triple team him every play, and you can slow down that pass rush pretty hard. The same thing happens to the Chargers now that Joey Bosa's out.
For sure. Going back to the Jags, Christian Kirk got paid $18 million a year in the offseason, and he's starting to look like he might be worth the $18 million, especially when you look at receivers like Devontae Adams, who's got 170 receiving yards through 3 games, and he's being paid $30 million almost.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's putting up the numbers. T-Law is looking good. James Robinson is outproducing their first-round pick from last year. Travis Etienne. Was Urban Meyer the problem?
Well,
I still think that Travis Etienne was a waste of a draft pick.
Yeah. Honestly, it wasn't worth drafting a running back when you had James Robinson coming off a 1,000-yard rushing season.
Because James Robinson came off a very good season that year, and you spend your first-round pick instead of on a lineman or on a good defensive piece or a good playmaker.
Yeah.
They wasted it on a running back.
And now that Urban Meyer's gone, James Robinson's getting most of the touches. He's putting up 100 rushing yards a game. He's getting a touchdown every game. Like, he's showing that he deserves to be a starting running back in the NFL.
The thing that always hurt me about that draft pick, like you said, James Robinson came off a great year being an undrafted rookie, and then you drafted Etienne out of he played at Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, so they already had a bit of a connection. But if you look at Etienne's career, when they played against the best teams, when they played against Alabama and Ohio State, Etienne never did anything. He was able to be held in check because he couldn't just juke everyone out of their shoes. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, now that he's in the NFL, you're not going to be able to just, juke and hit a hole and go 70 yards like you could against, a Syracuse. It just doesn't work like that. It didn't work against, those top colleges in college football. And you're seeing the same thing in the pros. He's able to make, one guy miss and then he gets tackled after a 2-yard gain. He just doesn't have that same explosiveness.
I agree completely. James Robinson's showing he has that explosiveness, and that's why he's getting all the touches. That's why he's putting up all the points and the yards. Last thing I want to end up on with the Jags. Jags play the Eagles this week. I think, hot take, Jags are going to beat the Eagles 31-17, and here's why. The Jags just blew out the Chargers. The Jags blew out the Colts, who just beat the Chiefs. I understand, the Chiefs have their issues, but the Chiefs and Chargers are supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. They have elite quarterbacks, and they go and lose to the Colts and Jags, the AFC South, who every team managed to lose or tie in week 1. And everyone's like, AFC South is the 2020 NFC least. Well, AFC West just went and took a whole bunch of L's last week against the AFC South. 3 of them to be exact. The Eagles, who have they beat? The 1-2 Lions. the 1-2 Commanders, which they beat the Jags, but it's week 1. Anything happens.
They absolutely destroyed Carson Wentz in that meeting with the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz was on his back for most of that game.
Yeah, that Eagles D-line's good, but that Jags offensive line's looking solid. T-Law is starting to heat up. James Robinson's getting the rock again. Josh Allen's looking like a top 10 pass rusher. That defensive secondary is starting to get picks and pass deflections. And the Eagles are good, but they haven't beaten anyone. They beat up a whole bunch of 1-2 teams. I feel like this might be like the Dolphins in 2016 when they started 3-0 with Tannehill, or last year when the Panthers started 3-0 and that defense was a monster. We had Sam Darnold throwing touchdowns, and then they fell apart and ended the year like 5-12.
Yeah, they didn't win. They didn't win many games after that.
Yeah, and the Eagles are being talked about as a Super Bowl contender. And when the Jags beat the Eagles on Sunday, are we going to talk about the Jags being Super Bowl contenders? No, we're going to say it was a fluke and they got lucky.
Yeah.
Now the Jags are looking like a good team. They're looking complete. That's scary for me as a Titans fan.
I have a Jaguars hot take.
All right.
Go.
Josh Allen is the superior Josh Allen.
Oh, facts. They showed it last year when they played. Josh Allen got a pick. Josh Allen got a sack. And Josh Allen got a fumble
Josh Allen got a
recovery.
pick. He got a sack. He got a fumble recovery.
That's a wild statement. I don't know if I can back that one up. I like both of them.
he-
I like both the Josh Allens, but that is a wild statement.
I will say
pretty
that
sure that the quarterback Josh Allen is the inferior Josh Allen.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, Jesse, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate the insight here into
always a pleasure.
Into the AFC South and the IR updates for all the teams in the NFL. So we appreciate that.
All right, you boys have a great night.
All right.
I'm out.
All right, you too. Thank you very much.
Peace.